And you're back here on Business World Live here on One News. And like we did say earlier, the country's business process sector isn't keeping its hopes high and it's anticipating the industry to miss its targets amid the pandemic. Now to talk about the BPO space and how it's been adapting, we have Maulik Parekh, author of Future Proof Your Career and Company. Good morning, Maulik. Great to have you here with us on the show.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Okay, like what we did report earlier in the show, you have the Industries Association, the IBPAP, really not expecting the BPO space to hit growth target for 2020. That is a 3.5 to 7.5% in revenue. They are reporting at least 120 billion pesos in lost opportunities due to unplanned costs. Really, what's your assessment here? How has the industry adapted?
Thanks for asking that question. One of the things that really impressed me, and I've been involved in the Philippine BPO industry for the last 20 years, is seeing the resiliency of BPO employees throughout this crisis. I have seen heroic efforts by not only the employees, but the management to continue to support their employers, but also the clients in different parts of the world. Obviously, as you can see, all the industries and all the verticals have been impacted by COVID-19. So I'm not surprised that the revenue targets for the industry or the margin targets for the industry have been impacted negatively for this year. But having said that, I really believe that going forward, 2021, 2022, the future is very bright for the industry. A lot of the companies, the clients who continue to send us the business to the Philippines are going to find ways to reduce their cost. And one of the first things they do when they are trying to reduce their cost is look at what are some of the processes and activities that they do in the US or Australia, in Europe. They can be outsourced or they can be offshored. And that's where Philippines would benefit the most in the next coming years.
But what do you think primarily were the missed opportunities here during the heat of the lockdowns here? We're talking perhaps March to August period here. Or what do you think were really the biggest missed or key opportunities here that the BPO sector in the Philippines actually missed due to the pandemic?
Well, missed is obviously the regular volume that we get from our clients. There are employees who could not come to work or could not do work from home because of a variety of reasons. So that's a huge missed opportunity for us. If every one of our employees could be put to work either at the workplace, in the office, or at their home, then we would still be running around 90 to 100% of our capacity. But that has not been the case, at least in the first few months of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Now, apart from unplanned costs, like what you did mention as well, reduced capacity, but that has since increased as much as 95% already once the economy at least slowly reopened. But is that a little too late to actually help crunch up growth numbers for the industry, or are we really seeing a better path to recovery here?
Well, for this year, I think we may expect a reduced revenue and margins for the companies, but it puts us in a right spot as we look into growing our lead in 2021, 2022. And what I hear from the clients that I work with in the past is they are so impressed with how the Philippines BPO industry has tried to do their best in supporting their needs compared to some of the other locations in the world. So Philippines is well set to continue to grow over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, but at the same time, with the pandemic, like what we've been talking about, has somehow reduced capacity for workers here. Oh, does that actually mean that we are going to see a fast tracking of automation and digitization among BPOs?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. Number one, because of AI, anything you do as part of your job that is predictable, that's boring, that's repetitive. So like answering basic customer queries or answering basic chat that's coming from the customer, those things would obviously be automated in the next 5 to 10 years, and you won't see that volume coming to the Philippines or any part of the world, in fact. But at the same time, because a lot of these basic customer queries are taken care of by AI and automation, what would be remaining would be what I call the moments of truths for the companies. And this is where companies would be willing to spend more money to ensure that when a customer calls to talk to a human being, they're willing to pay more money to make sure that that moment of truth is taken care of beautifully and properly. And I think that's where Philippines excels because, one of the values that I really like in the Philippines is malasakit. It's very
Mm.
natural for Filipinos to be empathetic, to really make sure that the customer's concerns are taken care of. And at those moments of truth, Philippines will continue to shine against other parts of the world.
Okay, my takeaway from that is that for one, I guess a primary question for that would be: are we expecting then a reduction in the workforce due to automation? At the same time, what would be necessary in order for workers to actually go on a level of upskilling here? Or what government support would be necessary to actually boost the skills of our BPO workers?
Sure. So in general, the industry will continue to grow. So while the basic customer queries, the most repetitive, boring, predictable customer queries will be taken care of by AI, there would be a growth in the types of queries where a human touch is very important. And that's where the
Mhm.
Philippines will come into play. So when you're looking at the next 10 years, the country, the industry, and the private sector, they all have to work together and make sure that their employees are upskilled in a way that they are more empathetic. They can be more human on the call or during the chat they're having with the customer. They need to be a little bit more concerned about how they're inspiring people around them. Inspiring is not something that AI can do very
Mhm.
easily compared to the human. So those are the skills we would need to upskill our employees with.
Okay, and then lastly here, how stable will the demand be for Philippine BPOs? How do we compare vis-a-vis to our Asian neighbors here? And how do you see the landscape moving forward? Is it going to be still as predictable as it used to be in the past couple of years?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very bullish. I've spent last 20 years in this industry in the Philippines. I feel that as long as the industry will continue to adapt to the new norm, as long as industry continues to upskills and reskills its workers for the demands of working with AI and automation and the new technology, the future is very bright for the Philippines.
All right, thank you very much for those insights, Maulik Parekh, author of Future Proof Your Career and Company. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.